But Mark, let's move into our next topic, and we're looking NFL draft. We're going to be looking more so into the draft in the next coming weeks. It's basically after this week, it's playoffs and drafts is mainly the main, unless there's like a coaching hire, Black Monday. Actually, Black Monday, that's what we're going to look at next week, but it'll basically be playoff and draft after this. And a lot of people loved our Cleveland Brown video where we talked about who they should take at number 1. You can also check out our mock draft to see who we have slotted at number 1 for the Browns. However, the main consensus is quarterback for the Browns, and I think it's their GM or whatever high up is like, we're going quarterback for the Browns at number 1. So I basically wanted to ask this question. I'll throw it over to you because who else am I going to throw it to, Mark? Who's the better fit for Cleveland? Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold?
Well, it's tough because so this new administration here comes in and says number 1 goal is finding a quarterback. They essentially say, Kaiser, get the fuck out of here. You're done.
Yeah. Should have just taken Deshaun Watson. You could have, but nope, you gave him to Houston.
They could have, but he probably wouldn't have been any good there because there's nothing good happening in Cleveland right now.
Better than you picked the wrong Deshaun. That's what you did.
And there's a good chance they still win 0-16. I mean, that roster is not 0-16 material.
No.
The coach is partially making them 0-16.
You are not a fan of the Wolverine anymore.
I'm not.
You're not a fan of the Wolverine.
I bought in on it, and he's gotten 1 win in 2 years.
Okay.
So that's awful. It's terrible. There's still a chance he could get 2 wins. Could double his win. But anyways, to answer the question for which quarterback is better, in my mind, you guys can go check out our mock drafts for sure. Mock draft 1.0. But I still feel like Rosen is the guy you go for if you want someone to come in and play right now. I think Darnold is going to be better being that guy who's going to sit there and have some games, maybe even a season before he comes in. That would be great. You would love him to be a Mahomes. You would love him to be what Chicago hoped Trubisky was going to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to have Houston's, Deshaun Watson come in where he has to come in and play day 1. Not that he can't do it at all, but I just think that he is not as capable or not as ready for it right now as Rosen is. Rosen's that clear-cut, like, there's no reason for Rosen to go back to college. Some people might want to say that there is a reason for Darnold to go back and maybe have another year. I don't see the point in it. If you're going to probably be a top 5 pick, you should just come out.
I could see both of them going back and it benefiting them. However, Darnold would be the one where it's like, you know what? He's the one where it's like, more so, should probably go back. But for me, I'm on the other side of it. Like, the main reason why I think Darnold is the guy is partly because of what I've been saying. If you're looking for potential and long-term gain, Darnold's going to be your guy. If you're looking for, hey, I want to win right now, Rosen's your guy. Where are the Browns at? They're in the Sam Darnold where, hey, the long game is going to benefit us more than win right now.
You need a good coach. They don't have a good coach.
Well, and that's part like that. I'm not going to throw Hugh under the bus completely, but that's a conversation for a different day. Maybe a Black Monday day. Maybe a reevaluation day.
I think it is relevant now, though, because Kaiser is not as terrible of a quarterback as he looks. But he is getting no help in the coaching situation right now.
The thing with Kaiser that I hate is there was one play, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, where he just threw it to the back of the end zone on the run off 1 foot, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Just throw it out of bounds, live to see another down. And that's one thing, whether you get Rosen or whether you get Darnold, you are not going to have that. Like, the thing with, and I automatically kind of go, well, maybe. With Darnold, you might get that, but with Darnold, it's going to be, the way I see it, is it's more like a Brett Favre type of caliber to it, to where, like, I think back to that Texas game where they're in overtime, there's a wide receiver back of the end zone on a little, vertical that kind of goes over the middle, and he's like, I saw it in his eyes, Brett Favre, fuck it, I'm putting it in there. Yeah. And he tried, and it was like, almost got picked. Okay, we're living to see another day. There's some of that in Sam Darnold, but it's not going to be like where it's DeShone Kizer, like, why did you do that? Like, that was obviously the wrong mistake.
But at the same time, with poor coaching, the mechanical issues like that won't get fixed.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think with either Rosen or Darnold, they're mechanical issues. That's why I'm thinking right now maybe DeShone Kizer isn't the right quarterback for Cleveland. Here's the thing,
I don't think he is either, no.
Here's what I was getting to, though, why I would right now and probably going to stay Darnold over Rosen is the comments that Rosen made where he said that basically, in the exact quote, if I can find it here really quick, I'd rather be a lower pick for the right team than a higher pick for the wrong team. Basically, I'd rather be 25 to the Steelers than number 1 to the Browns. That's how I took it.
Which is smart, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be, all
that
the way
low.
to 25. It could be, 10 to, let's say, a Jets, a team who's won some games. It's, to me, that just screamed of, I really don't want to play in Cleveland. And my thing we talked about before we started recording the podcast was, even though I'm still saying that Rosen, I think, is the right choice, the right fit for Cleveland, not the right choice. He's not the right choice right now. But he's the right fit for Cleveland. He's the wrong choice because he doesn't want to be there, and he's making it very obvious. And that's okay. It happens. Eli did it. Elway's done it. You get quarterbacks that do this, and they're good, successful quarterbacks that everybody knows and loves.
Yeah.
Now, the bad thing is, though, I sit there and I listen to it, and I'm like, I know you don't want to play for Cleveland, but I don't like hearing it. I don't like hearing that when, you get asked something like that. Just give the dumb political answer. That's all we want. And I know it's, as fans, a lot of people don't want that. They don't want it. They want to hear Bill Belichick get snippy. They want to hear Marshawn Lynch say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's more entertaining than, say, a Peyton Manning going out there and being like, yeah, the team did really good. We have a great team. I wouldn't be here without my team. Things like that. Where you get Darnold, who's going to come out and say, how do I, somebody asked, how do you think you'd look in Cleveland's jersey? Well, I'm just happy to get drafted by anybody.
And that's the one thing it kind of goes to right now. I was just reading, I'm looking at an ESPN article where they basically kind of go through all the quarterbacks, but I'm looking mainly at Darnold and Rosen because that's what we're talking about. And that kind of goes through where they have a quote from here from an NFC front office official, and it says, and I quote, he's got everything you look for, and this is Darnold: size, arm strength, accuracy. Could stand to clean up the mechanical stuff, but that's going to come with time. He looks the part, and that matters when you're trying to sell a fan base on a young guy with growing pains. He'll show enough to get people excited, and that's the one last line that reminds me of. If I am a member of the Cleveland fan base, I want a guy to come in here and basically, hey, you know what? I'm just happy to get my shot. I'm just happy to come in here. I don't want to hear the guy that's basically like, fuck Cleveland. I don't want to play here. Have you been there? It smells. I don't want to hear that if I'm Cleveland. That's why
they forgave Myles Garrett really fast.
Yeah. Well, Myles Garrett, once it's like, okay, you're here, you're here.
They would do the same thing with Rosen.
They would do the same thing with Rosen. However, it's a different position. Like if Myles Garrett kind of fizzled out, yes, it would be like, wow, Myles Garrett is a bust at number 1, but it wouldn't have the same kind of significance of a quarterback is what I'm saying. Like if Rosen fizzled out and Garrett fizzled out, the two, we would focus more on Rosen because he's a quarterback.
Well, yeah, but we're not talking about them being bust. We're talking about what they said.
Yeah, no,
people will forgive him what we said. I mean, Mitch Trubisky,
of what they said.
Mitch Trubisky tweets out, "Go Packers" when he was a teenager. Chicago forgave him for that really fast.
I don't think you should have been mad at him at all because it's like that was.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's a fan base
when it's
thing.
your guy, you forgive him. But that's what I'm saying. He was drafted by a fan base.
And that's
you forgive him when he's your guy really quick.
And that's the thing. And I'm going to bring what we talked about to start the show in now. It's kind of like what Will Kane and Jalen Rose Jalen Rose were talking about on First Take with James Harrison situation, where Will Kane's like, I come from the fan base perspective. We want loyalty. That is what we want. We want a guy that's going to be loyal. And Jalen Rose is like, well, you know what? If you released me, I'm not going to be loyal to you. You released me, so I'm going to go somewhere so that I can make a living, just to kind of bring the two together. But the thing that I look at is, obviously with Cleveland, though, one of these two guys has to be it. Like, you can't have the question, and I know some people are going to throw it, yeah, but guys, what if, like, Denver wants to trade up? No, no trading down.
Well,
no,
they've already said they're not going to.
I know, but, like, no trading down to, even if the possibility you're like, you know what, we can trade down, we can take, like, a Baker Mayfield, we can take a Josh Allen. No. Your decision is between Rosen and Darnold. I don't think that, because the thing I look at is, not only did you miss out on Deshaun Watson last year because you traded down, you missed out on either Goff or Wentz, who are tearing it up right now. Well, Wentz is injured, but when he wasn't, he was tearing it up.
I mean, he's still leading the league in touchdowns.
Now, before he got injured, you threw it to me like, hey, should we have a segment on the show? Could he be the MVP, or should he be the MVP?
Yeah.
Then he got injured, and we couldn't have had that segment.
The one thing I will give Cleveland, the tiniest bit of, you could maybe trade down.
Okay.
Is if this Houston pick they have stays as high as it is. If it can stay high, right now it's 4.
Yeah.
The only team above you, the Giants, are the only team that might draft a quarterback. And there's not a guarantee that they will. So you trade away to a team like Denver or New York who's going to draft a quarterback. All right, there goes one.
But you still have the possibility of losing Darnold and Rosen.
You do. That's why I said it's the tiniest reason why they could do it.
But even if they got a Josh Allen or a Baker Mayfield
but
at
they
4,
wouldn't. They would be number 4. We're saying that. I'm saying if you can get away with New York is not drafting a quarterback.
Okay.
The Colts are not drafting a quarterback.
Hey, man.
Then you just get the second best guy.
Apparently some guys in that giant locker room think that Davis Webb is the guy, man. They think he's the guy. I don't think so, but I think he's the guy.
I mean, I'm under the impression that the New York Giants are going to draft a quarterback.
Or just trade down. They'd be the team that I think trades.
Potentially, if like the Jets or the Denver Broncos want to get up there.
Well, the interesting thing, and I know this isn't about Denver, but the interesting thing about Denver is John Elway was at the Idaho Potato Bowl to watch Josh Allen, where he threw for 3 touchdowns and had himself a pretty good last game at Wyoming.
I feel like Josh Allen's the kind of guy that John Elway would like.
I mean, he was all over Paxton Lynch.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're the same, but I mean, Paxton Lynch was also a potential kind of guy. But I mean, back to Cleveland, where I kind of feel like it comes down to, what do you think? And that's why part of me feels like you brought up the Hugh Jackson thing. Although I wouldn't get rid of him, because I kind of feel like, where you could say, well, he hasn't been a good coach. I've been sitting there going, okay, this has probably been the first team on paper to where we've actually had, like, where they got him talent. The Myles Garrett, the Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, but couldn't do anything with it.
But what did you expect with the quarterback that they have?
At least one game.
With the quarterback
At
that
least
they have.
one game. It doesn't matter. It's not just quarterback. They have been in positions to win games. It's not just a quarterback that's messed up.
But is that the coach's fault, or is that a young team's fault that they're not
Coaches got to coach these guys to get ready to play.
But
it's not just inexperience. They have some veterans on this team.
I'm going to say it this way, mainly being on the side of, in a past life, used to be a teacher. There are so many times, like, and what I was teaching was music. So there are so many times you could tell a kid, like, hey, this is what you want to do here. This is how you want to attack. This is how you want to, I'm going to get really technical here. This is how you want to attack this measure. This is how you want to play it right. And then they go out there and they don't do it. And you're sitting there like, come on, I gave you the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
I told you what to do. So, I mean, that's a little bit of where I feel like it's not all on you, Jack.
I do agree with that, but not at 0-16 potentially.
But here's the thing.
If you cannot get your team to win a single game, you are a bad coach. We're not talking. He's not sitting here with junior college level talent. He is sitting here with NFL caliber players. This is a team that should have at least been able to win a game. They could have beat the Steelers. They could have beat the Jets. They could have beaten the Titans. They could have beaten the Packers. They could have they really shit the bed against the Bears, but the Bears are not a good team. They could have beat the Bears.
And that's why I wouldn't fire him, because it's not like this team, like, it's not like they're getting blown out every week. And I know this has gone completely off of the quarterbacks, but we'll get back to it. It's not like they're getting blown out every week. It's not like they are where it's what we saw with New York, where it's like they gave up on their coach. If I'm a fan and you're telling me, this is, of course, if I knew. If you said, you're going to go 0-16, what way do you want to do it? Get blown out every game or be in close games? I would take the close games, because that means I'm doing a step further. And I know you're probably sitting there going, but Ricky, you're winning less games than you did last year.
Yeah, when you were 1-15.
This is the only reason, what I was getting to, the only reason how I could see Hugh Jackson getting fired, although they're right now saying like, oh, we're going to keep him. We're going to see if that just meant for the season or not. The only way I could see him getting fired is if they say kind of, maybe Ryan Pace, not really Ryan Pace style, because it's not going to line up. It didn't line up like that for the Bears, but basically, not even Kyle Shanahan. But what I'm getting to is new coach, bring him in. Which guy do you like? Bring a coach in that's going to work with them.
The coach. Yeah,
which one do you? Which one do you want? Which one will fit your system, or which one can we build? Build a system around?
It's perfectly clear in the fact that you've played 32 games. You will have played 32 games at the end of this week. We're assuming they lose to the Steelers. You've won a single one. That's it. You've only won 1 out of 32 games. That is unacceptable. And I am not a chud the guy. I'm not saying
he's got 2 years.
He already hasn't been chudded. But I'm not saying you just get rid of a guy the second he has a bad season. But there's been zero success here. Well, you get rid of him.
And here's the thing. And Darnold and Rosen, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I think Darnold and Rosen could potentially be the same type of caliber.
And this is a coach who compared Deshaun Kaiser to Tom Brady.
Well, here's the
you really want him to coach Rosen or Sam Darnold.
But basically, what I'm going to go at is here's what I'm going to ask you is so. He's basically had 3 years as a head coach. His first year was in 2011, went 8-8 with Oakland, didn't see a second year.
Yeah,
then he's with with Cincinnati as an OC. Got to work with Andy Dalton, working great things with Andy Dalton. Remember what we were saying when he was coming over from Cleveland?
Amazing offensive coordinator.
That's what I like. That's what I potentially want to see
as an offensive coordinator.
Well, no. What I'm saying is potentially, let's be honest, no matter what he was saying, I bet you he made the Tom Brady comment because at the beginning of the season, he had to hype up Kaiser. Like, I seriously wouldn't be shocked if because I don't see Hugh Jackson being there when the Browns become good, if they ever become good. But I can't wait till after he's fired and years down, we hear the interview where he goes, yeah, I didn't want Deshaun. I wanted Deshaun Watson. Ownership wanted to moneyball and trade back. I was against it from the beginning.
Sure.
I know that people are going to say, but yeah, now you're gone. Of course you're going to say that.
2020.
But I can't wait until that comes out. And if it's true that, hey, he really didn't want Deshaun Kaiser.
You'd never know if it really was true, though.
The thing I can see this working out, the way I could see this going is they go ahead, they take Rosen or Darnold. I would take Darnold right now. And him having this next season, working with him the rookie year, and then if it doesn't work, then basically what we expect Brian Pace to do with John Fox of like, you know what? Let's get the coach because that's the thing that's going to be important is what I would do if I was Cleveland is I would keep Hugh Jackson for 1 more year at least. And I would basically say one of these 2 guys, I would basically go to him and go, which one can you build a system around? We will take whichever one. But we'll take your thought into consideration, and then I'd kind of make a decision because I wouldn't put it completely in the hands of a head coach. I would want my own decision in it if I'm the GM. But I want to go with the guy that you can build a system better around. And then if he can't, okay, you're done. We'll bring in a guy who can. That's what I would do. However, I'm not the GM of the Browns. And there are probably some Browns fans that are saying, thank God, because we don't want you to be our GM, Ricky. But that is what I would do if I was Browns GM.
Yeah, I just think to come in as a GM, a new GM, and essentially say 1-15, 0-16 potentially. Yeah, we'll bring you back. If I'm a fan, I give up. I say you have accepted.
If I'm a Browns fan, I've already given up.
Well, you've been put through a lot. You've got Stockholm syndrome for sure. But you're sitting there saying you have taken as bad as it can get, made it worse, historically worse. You tied the record that can't possibly be broken because you can't win -1, and you have accepted and said that's okay. Maybe it'll get better because it can't possibly get any worse, right? That's just that to me. That's unacceptable, and that's my big thing. Is I don't want him around either one of these guys because what were the issues that Kaiser has? Kaiser's big issue. He has no confidence anymore. His confidence in his mental abilities are completely shot. He is done in the NFL. His NFL career has ended. Maybe he'll be a backup somewhere, but he will never start in the NFL now because he has zero confidence now, and the reason why. His coach never really believed in him. And his coach pulled him out of games that he shouldn't have pulled him out of. He benched him any chance he could. He completely mishandled this situation. He did not have the fortune of working with an Andy Dalton here, and that sucked. Is he going to do the same thing with Rosen or Darnold as soon as they throw a few interceptions? Is he going to bench him?
And that's the thing that I do want to throw out. Little grain of salt is in Cleveland, like in Cincinnati, he had AJ Green, who's a top wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
He had Andy Dalton, who's probably...
He's an above-average quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Tier 2, Tier 3, can we agree about that?
Yeah.
In the tiers of quarterback?
He's had a rough year, but yeah.
And then he's had a solid running back with Giovanni Bernard. No one that's going to be, top running back, but a quality, I'd say two-headed punch between Bernard and Jeremy Hill when he was in Cincinnati. Then he comes to Cleveland where they don't have that. And last year in the draft, they passed up quarterback so that they could go linebacker / corner in Jabril and defensive end first overall in Myles Garrett. I know they got Joku late for the tight end, but they opted not to go quarterback. 2 years before that, decided not to go quarterback yet again. And two interesting things that I want to throw out here at the end before I throw it to you for your final thought. Cumulative point differential for every NFL team from 2008 until now. It's funny how the Patriots from 2008 till now, they've just gone up. Yeah. They've got like plus 1,500. The only three teams to go down consistently from there, Rams, Jags, and Browns.
And two of those teams have turned it around. In
one season. The Browns right now have a cumulative point differential since 2008 of negative 1,074. That's where they sit right now. And like I mentioned earlier, the Browns and the Ravens, lowest win percentage between any matchup of any team. They've only have a winning percentage of 23.7 against the Ravens. And that is by far the worst. And this team, and I know Cleveland fans are sitting there, we don't need you to tell us how bad our team is. They need to take one of these guys. I'm leaning towards Darnold mainly because I'm going longevity over win right now. I'm going over, give me the guy who's like, and this is what I think. I think Darnold's going to be the guy. Yeah, he's going to have to work on some things to start, but once he gets to where he needs to be, you don't have to worry about him. It's like that car where it's like, fix a few things, then you don't have to worry about it, where Rosen's the guy, drive it right out of the lot.
I just kind of feel that my biggest concern, if I think fit-wise, I still say Rosen right now, but I don't think the Browns should draft him
because of what he said.
Because of what he said. He doesn't want to be there. I don't think that's going to change. And I don't want that to be part of this team. It's Cleveland. You need to want to be here. But at the same time, I don't trust the current coaching staff, and things could change in just a week. But I don't trust this current coaching staff to be responsible for touching a quarterback and fixing things and making him better. I would only...
You want a new staff in there.
I want a new staff if I get the guy who has a few things to work on. If I'm going for Rosen, the guy who comes in and just day one is, boom, he's here. He's an NFL quarterback. Then I can at least accept maybe having Jackson out as my coach, but I don't really want it.
I wouldn't be surprised if with an Eli Phillip Rivers thing, where it's like, you know what, we're gonna draft Rosen, you go ahead and draft Darnold, and then we'll trade for him, or like a Baker Mayfield, and then we'll trade for him. However, let's turn on to you guys. What do you guys think down below? Let us know, who do you have if you are the Browns? Who are you drafting number one? Rosen, Darnold? Let us know why down below in the comment section.